Hello, my name's Peter Berry, Managing Director of Peter Berry Consultancy. I want to share with you our thought leadership today around the importance of leadership, engagement and performance, and take you into a couple of case studies that we've had the pleasure of being able to put together in recent times. I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with Dr Robert Hogan for 20 years, and we're passionate around the concept of leadership driving engagement and performance. And Bob has this quote that leadership is about results, teams deliver results, therefore judge the leader by the team. So we put together a little model that's inspired by all of our work in the last 30 years. And we've called it the LEAP model, Leadership Drives Engagement and Performance. And what we talk about is the importance of a team putting a lot of effort into three areas. Firstly, developing leadership and team effectiveness. So you might be using Hogan personality assessments, Hogan 360 and the high performing team to really capture what's going on with those individuals and teams and how to take them to the next level. You then integrate that with the purpose of the business. What's its strategic goals? Where are the one-page business plans? What are the KPIs? In short, what does winning look like? So they want to have great leaders and teams with a clear focus on bottom line results. And how do you do that? You add the third measure, which is people. We can only achieve results through having the best people, hiring hard and managing easy, having engaged people. So the importance of getting your culture right and built on values. Now, if you get those three right, it should make it easier to drive performance around employee engagement and retention, customer satisfaction and cross referrals, service and operational excellence, and your financial outcomes. Now, there are three tools that we love to use when we sit down with a client, and we think they're global tools, rich on validity, rich on science, strong benchmarks. And that, of course, is the Hogan personality assessments, the Hogan 360 and the high performing team assessment. Give me those three metrics and a group of leaders has no place to hide. You've got all the data you need. Then what we do is we say, show me your employee engagement results. So what is the current impact of leadership? Do we have top quartile engagement, bottom quartile? What's your staff turnover? And then show me your customer satisfaction metrics, whether it's a customer survey, a net promoter score, customer retention and sales growing. So the idea of leadership is to then drive the performance and engagement of those two stakeholders. And out of that, you get the bottom line performance. So what are our financial results? If it's private sector, we want to see that revenue is growing and you've got sound profitability. So that's the model. Leadership, joining the strategy and people with a focus on bottom line. Now, the two case studies we've got. One, we've worked closely with Hogan head office in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because Knight Frank South Australia, a valuations business, has been a client of ours for 10 years, and it's a remarkable case study. It's probably the best one in Australia that we've had the pleasure of working with. So a couple of things about the Knight Frank client success story. One, they haven't been fad surfing. They made a decision 10 years ago to use the Hogan products, the PBC products, the PBC view on strategy and planning. And so there's been rigorous execution, not taking their eyes off the ball. So what do? They invest heavily in people. So for example, you can't get a job at Knight Frank unless you've gone through Hogan assessments used for selection purposes. Secondly, they're constantly investing with leaders around the Hogan personality profiles, the Hogan 360 and the high performing team assessments. They're very robust and open with each other. There's a culture of work hard, play hard and show humility, and it's all aimed at achieving that employee engagement, customer satisfaction and bottom line results. So when we were putting this case study together earlier this year, we were thrilled that Knight Frank opened their books, so to speak, to show us the results that they're getting. So firstly, the two top senior managers in the business, there's about 50 staff, the two top senior managers are both getting top 10 percentile 360 results. And that didn't come naturally or easily. It's something they worked hard at over a 10-year period to become those role model leaders. Secondly, we're getting top 10 percentile employee engagement results. So it's surveyed every 2 years and the results are just quite compelling. Then, to round it out, we do a biannual customer telephone interview to collect the customer satisfaction ratings, and this year was the highest score they've ever achieved. It was also top 10 percentile. So then we said, well, it's all looking good. We've got a warm inner glow. Everyone appears to be very happy. What about the bottom line? That's the $64 question. So they brought in an external auditor who was able to benchmark their financial results globally. And guess what? They achieved top 1 percentile financial results. As a result of that, they're planning to expand outside of South Australia. They're looking at Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland. When you've got a fantastic and successful model, why wouldn't you seek to duplicate that elsewhere? So I guess that's all coming back to the point that the investment in leadership and people pays. It's sustainable, it's long-term, and it's a remarkable story. The second case study that I want to talk about just very briefly, it's a global energy company. They're a very big multinational. They're very sophisticated, and they take what we call workplace analytics and financial analytics very seriously. So you have some very smart people who are looking at leadership effectiveness measured by the 360 tool. They have a team effectiveness tool that they use, and they measure employee engagement in a very robust and global benchmark manner. They then correlate the results for individual managers and teams against the outcomes of that data with the bottom line business plan KPIs that is their definition of what winning looks like. And we're getting some amazing correlations. So what does it mean? The better the leader, the better the team, you're going to have a better safety track record. The better the leader, the better the team. If you're in a sales industry, the better the sales and the customer satisfaction. So it confirms all of those global trends around employee engagement, that engagement pays. You've got a higher level of engagement, a higher level of performance, and you're hitting your business metrics consistently, whether it's sales, safety, productivity, efficiency, reduced cycle time, a correlation. They even did a little study just to validate their own science. They took a poor performing manager, put that poor performing manager into a high performing team, and within 6 months that high performing team was dysfunctional. So the impact of a poor leader can truly derail a team and engagement, which comes back to the point that we want to see leaders who are engaging, we want to see teams that are high performing, and it's the key to investing in your bottom line. So what are the key learnings from these two case studies? I think first of all, it validates completely Dr. Robert Hogan's philosophy around leadership and engagement and performance. That good leadership drives high performing teams and teams deliver the results. So take leadership very seriously and measure it, which is why we like to then do the 360 on a leader. We get the beautiful Hogan data that measures idealised self and likely strengths that will help you or hinder you. So when we sit down with clients, if we have a clean sheet of paper, we start to say, what assessments are you prepared to invest in? Would it be the Hogan personality assessments, the Hogan 360, and the high performing team assessment? And if we can get all three, I'm absolutely thrilled, because I know we can have the greatest impact in the shortest period of time in taking them from good to great. Then I talk about aligning that investment with having a strategic planning cycle. So what's the point of your business? Your point of your business is to win. So show me how you do strategy. Show me how you do planning on a page. And do you have quarterly cycles of where the management team gets together to work on the business, not just in the business, up on the balcony looking at the dance floor, being strategic, not just operational. So if you can align your investment in better culture with having a robust planning cycle and clear KPIs, join those two together, and you're on the journey towards sustainable, high-performing business results, hopefully better than your competitors. So in summary, what have I learned in the last 10 or 15 years in working with teams? First of all, sadly, teams are still underrated. We talk about teams, but they don't appear in the business plans. It's not an investment that companies are still widely using. I think it'll take off in the next 5 years, Because if you can see that there's a business case and a return on investment by taking teams from good to great, it's a no-brainer. Why shouldn't you be sitting there? So for CEOs, they'll talk about teams, but they've got to be the CEO, not because of their track record in building teams. They could be a fantastic engineer, they could be a fantastic accountant, and this concept of groups and teams is still anathema to them. So it takes you back to Bob Hogan's quote, socio-analytic theory is about getting along and getting ahead, and that's why a team exists. My second key learning is teams. There's a lot of teams that are mediocre or even broken or dysfunctional, so they're not getting the hard issues on the table. 65% of teams lack accountability. Accountability is not called out. People don't face the consequences. CEOs can have blind spots. They just can't see what the elephant in the room is. Teams are not necessarily teams, they're a group of individuals that act as silos because there's no shared purpose. There's no shared goals are more important than individual goals. So there are massive issues still to be addressed in teams, and most senior people are not experienced. They don't know how to go about it. My third learning, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It can be fixed. It can be fixed quickly. You just need strong assessments, good facilitation and consulting, get the issue on the table, and don't personalise it. It's not about any individual. Be respectful of the individuals, but be hard on the issues. And then I think you can get that significant, sustainable progress.